Seriously, this really is demonic. We say it a lot on YouTube. A lot of folks will say it, and some people use it kind of as to be kind of clickbaitish and so forth, or just as a catchphrase, a catch-all. This is demonic, that's demonic. Now, there are some things that are truly demonic, without question. There are some things that is just not right, but not necessarily demonic. Well, this is an example of something that is without question demonic, and I can promise you, in some way, shape, or fashion, you are likely affected by this company. Who's the company? Well, the one that comes to most people's doors all the time. As a matter of fact, many folks welcome them to their door. That is Amazon. Amazon is a tech company. They ship and deliver goods. You can go there and purchase products, some that they have there or other places, and they just kind of work as a logistics arm and ship things to you. But they also have a media department, and they're affiliated with Hollywood as well. In one case, there is a movie that I guess came out, some cartoon, supposed to be a comedy, but it's an evil demonic comedy. I think it's called Hazbin Hotel or Motel, something like that. It depicts Satan as the good guy. It kind of twists everything, shifts everything, and, well, don't take my word for it. You listen to it.
Upon a time, there was a glowing city protected by golden gates, known as heaven. It was ruled by beings of pure light, angels that worshipped good and shielded all from evil. Lucifer was one of these angels. He was a dreamer with fantastical ideas for all of creation, but he was seen as a troublemaker by the elders of heaven, for they felt his way of thinking was dangerous to the order of their world. So he watched as the angels began to expand the universe in their ways. From the dust of earth they created Adam and Lilith, equals as the first of mankind, but despite this, Adam demanded control, and Lilith refused to submit to his will. She fled the garden. Drawn in by her fierce independence, Lucifer found her, and the two rebellious dreamers fell deeply in love. Together, they wished to share the magic of free will with humanity, offering the fruit of knowledge to Adam's new bride, Eve, who gladly accepted. But this gift came with a curse, for with this single act of disobedience, evil finally found its way into earth. With it, a new realm of darkness and sin, and the order heaven had worked to maintain was shattered. As punishment for their reckless act, heaven cast Lucifer and his love into the dark pit he had created, never allowing him to see the good that came from humanity. Only the cruel and the wicked. Ashamed, Lucifer lost his will to dream. But Lilith thrived, empowering humankind with her voice and her songs, and as the numbers of hell grew, so did its power. Threatened by this, heaven made a truly heartless decision. That every year they would send down an army, an extermination, to ensure hell and its sinners could never rise against them. But Lilith's hope remained, and her dream was passed down to their precious daughter, the princess of hell.
It doesn't really mention, I haven't seen the cartoon, and I won't see the cartoon. Doesn't mention anything about God, anything about Jesus, but does mention Satan or Lucifer, does mention this fictitious character Lilith, and how he was good-hearted. He had good intentions, and just kind of really just twisting the plots around and giving Satan almost a soul, so to speak, giving him some sort of public relations benefit. This is horrible. Now, the questions are going to be, one, what do we do? Before we get there, though, it's clear what the Bible says. The Bible says, woe unto those who call evil good and good evil. In this case, they are clearly substituting darkness for light and light for darkness, because they are trying to paint Satan as the good guy. Who does that? Who wants people to think that Satan, he's not a bad guy. He's just misunderstood. He meant well. Okay, yeah, so did Adolf Hitler. So did Bin Laden. So did Saddam Hussein. So did Jeffrey Dahmer. Yeah, they meant well, just misunderstood. Well, that's a problem. The question, though, and here is the dilemma. Here's the more dilemma. Here's the dilemma for a lot of people, for my household, for your household. What do you do with Amazon? Do you continue to shop through Amazon? Well, you go through somewhere else. Maybe you go through Walmart. Maybe you go through Target. Maybe you go through somebody else. But what happens when you find out that those other companies also have some things that are obviously ungodly? For example, Target. Target promotes the LGBTQ agenda without question. What about Walmart? Well, it's not a godly company either. Now, maybe not as much as the other two, but still. What do you do? Now, there's a passage that we probably want to pull up. He says, do not be bound together with unbelievers, For what partnership has righteousness with lawlessness, or what fellowship has light with darkness? The question is, does that apply to us if we use them for their retail businesses, for purchasing and things like that? And then do we also extend that to other things, such as, I don't know, the phone company, your cell phone, AT&T? What about Apple? What about these streaming services? What about, well, I don't watch any of that stuff. What about your car? What about Ford? What about General Motors? What about Toyota? None of these companies are friends of the Christians. What about the places that you go to eat? What about places, the grocery stores? What about Kroger? What about these places that support, that have Pride Month and so forth? What about some of the drinks that you drink? What about McDonald's or Burger King or what have you? What about all these different places that you frequent that are also just like Amazon? Now, that's a question. I'm not going to tell you what to do. Maybe we all ought to just maybe pull back a little bit. Maybe we ought to voice our displeasure. I don't know. But just so you know, but again, didn't we know this before? The God of this world, meaning who is in control of the people, the masses, who gives their marching orders, is not our God. And we know that. So our job is still, just so we can know, if you didn't know now, you ought to know now. That is, our job is to not save this world, but to save the people in this world out of this world to a better world, to a better kingdom. But what do you think about this? I'd be very interested to hear what you think that we as Christians ought to do, but then also not just what we ought to do with Amazon, but what about every other company that is doing the same thing, which is probably every other company.